What's going on, guys? My name is Skokie. Welcome back to SteezyRacing. Today I want to talk about, well, actually, before I get into that, this footage here is from Trackhouse Motorplex. It's from a couple months ago. I did 6 heats this day, so I was super tired at this point, but I had a pretty good feel for the track, and it starts raining at some point. It's crazy footage. It's super entertaining. I'm letting people by here so I can try to pass everybody on the track too, because I've been pretty much the fastest guy all day, so I was having a lot of fun. This footage is cool. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got started racing. It's one of the questions that I get asked a ton on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere. People always want to know, how do you start doing this? And really, it's a lot more simple than a lot of people think. There are tracks all over the place. All over the place is kind of relative, I guess, but because I guess there were stretches while I was on vacation here, actually, where there was probably 6 hours between tracks, but there are still a good amount of go-kart tracks all over across the country, and especially overseas. If you're from overseas, they're everywhere. My answer, really, in 2 words, is just go. Just go to your nearest track and talk to the people there. Ask them how to get started, because everywhere is going to be a little bit different. But really, that's not going to be the whole video. What I really want to talk about is kind of how I got started into racing myself, and just how I got into racing as a whole. When I was a kid, I would always watch NASCAR with my grandfather. Every time I went over my Nana's house, he was watching NASCAR, whether it was the Busch Series, the Truck Series, whatever was on, he had it on. I was always rooting for Dale Jr. to win. He was really the only one that I knew or cared about at the time. I didn't really understand what was going on, but that probably until about 2010 was my racing experience, and then I didn't really pay too much attention to it after that until about 2019. The pandemic hit and I got bored, didn't have anything to do, I think I found my old NASCAR video game from 2003, NASCAR Thunder 2003, and started playing that again, and then eventually decided to buy the new NASCAR game, and then watched some of the NASCAR season, saw Kyle Busch win that championship, and that was what really got me hooked on racing. But I didn't think at racing for myself at all at that point. I was just watching NASCAR thinking it was cool. But I did remember my cousin actually took us to a go-karting track for his birthday a couple of years earlier than that, probably 2016 or 2017. And that's the track that most of the videos on my channel are at now, R1 Indoor Karting. I was racing on kid speed at the time, I think. It was not a very serious race, but it was a whole lot of fun, and it was a lot more serious than the really kiddie go-karts that I had raced prior to that. So where you don't even wear helmets or anything. It was the most serious that I could imagine at the time, and that was really interesting to me. But I was living in New Hampshire at the time, so I didn't really get a chance to do that at all. I was just stuck to NASCAR and playing the video games, and at that point I didn't even have a wheel or anything for the video games, but I would play hours on my controller, just wasting away the pandemic on the NASCAR Heat 4, I think it was, that video game. I just realized I've been recording with the wrong mic the whole time, so if it sounds different from here on out, I apologize. But I was paying super close attention to NASCAR during the 2020 to 2022 seasons. It was my entire life. I was rooting for Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, and just really watching every single weekend, watching all 3 series, I got super, super into it. So when I found out that I was going to be coming back to Rhode Island near the track that I work at now in R1 in Lincoln, I knew that I needed to be around the track more. So I decided to go try to get a job there. I didn't know if it was really going to be like enough for me money-wise to just work at the track, so I was actually working 2 jobs once I got back, and eventually I decided that that was not worth my mental health, but I loved working at the track, and I figured that would be okay for a little bit at least, and I decided to just throw everything into it and start working at the track full-time. Now I am a manager on the track over there at R1. I am super involved with everything they do, so it is very nice to be in that position. I really feel like I'm making a difference over there, and just to be around racing pretty much every single day has been really, really cool and really helped me develop as a driver too. Honestly, I understand that that is not really realistic for everybody. Most people aren't going to be able to get a job at the track and train with the best at the track consistently and one-on-one private lessons, pretty much. Like the people who are fast over there helped me out a whole lot, and they continue to help me out a whole lot. So that definitely made a big difference in my development. You don't need to go as hard as I did if you want to start racing. Most of the time, you just show up to your track and give it a try. Most tracks will have some sort of weekly league, competitive, sort of semi-competitive league. A lot of the tracks that around me, they do like weekly, like you pay every week when you show up. It doesn't matter if you miss a week. There are some tracks that do more like pay a couple $100 up front for the whole season, and then you show up every week. But in general, there is a whole lot of options at most of the tracks if you want to race yourself. When you first start in doing competitive racing, you're probably going to be the worst or one of the worst ones on the track. You're not going to show up to a track where other people have been racing for months or years and be immediately competitive with them. That's just not how it works. So you need to be prepared to lose a little bit and learn from those other guys. Don't be afraid to talk to them, ask them what works for them and what they think might not be working for you. A lot of guys just want to have fun and be competitive. They don't mind helping out other racers. So if you ask them for help, they'll give it to you. I've never had somebody like gatekeep track information or kart information from me because they wanted to be faster. Everybody I've ever talked to has been extremely helpful and wanted to help everybody be better around them, because it makes them a better racer too, to be racing around fast people. And that's the best way to get better, really, is to get your butt kicked a couple times. And that part is really important, because I've been racing for over a year. I've only won a couple B mains. I've never won an A main, a very competitive race yet. So I've done my fair share of getting my butt kicked. It's gonna happen. So be prepared to lose, and be prepared to just be humble and ask the faster guys what they're doing that's working for them. This has been one of the coolest things that I've gone into in my life. It's very nice to, as an adult, have like a sport that I can get into, kind of like playing like men's league at 22, like men's league baseball, hockey, whatever, like that sort of stuff obviously exists, but it's hard to stick to a schedule like that when you've got work and a life outside of it. So having something like this that I can really just do when I'm available to do it has been really cool for me, just having something else to do. And honestly, it's a cool way to make friends, which is embarrassing to say.
but as a grown person who doesn't get thrown into very many social settings, like, racing has been great for me in that way too. So I can't say enough good about doing this. If you've thought about doing this in any way, like, go try in some capacity, because it's so fun, it's so rewarding. The only thing is it can be a little expensive, and I admit that. But a lot of the times there are ways to get discounts at tracks by buying more races at once, or credits at once, or things like that. So you have to kind of keep an eye out for when you can get good deals if you want to be doing it a lot. But I mean, if you really aren't doing too much else for yourself, maybe it's not that crazy to spend 50 to 75 bucks on yourself a week to do this. And I mean, if that's the position you're in, this is a great way to spend your time. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed the actual, like, background video. It was one of the most insane races I've ever done in my life, and it was so much fun. But, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.